Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Christmas to you and to your family. Continuing with our segment, What Does Christmas Mean to You? I want to welcome back to the program State Representative Brandt Smith. Brandt, welcome back, sir. How are you? Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you, Paul, and thank you.
Absolutely. So take it away. You have the floor. We got about 5 minutes here. State Representative Brandt Smith, what does Christmas mean to you?
Well, thank you, Paul. For our family, we tend to focus on the birth of Jesus Christ, the central, most important figure in all of history. And, of course, we have grandchildren that look forward to presents on Christmas morning. We decorate the house on the inside. We have the tree. We have, because we've lived in so many countries over our married life, Gayla and I have always collected nativity scenes wherever we've lived, and so she tries to display most of those. And but it all centers and focuses on the person, the incarnate Jesus Christ. And so Christmas morning, at some point, we usually take the Bible out, and I will read the Christmas story from Luke chapter 2 and gather all the grandkids around. And this year we have 7 grandchildren. So
wow.
Between opening their presents and explaining why we do presents, because of the gifts that the wise men brought to Jesus and presented to him, and his and Mary and his earthly father Joseph. You know, we try to keep the focus solely on Christ, and the reason Jesus was sent. You know, God in the flesh comes to the world, and the whole point of that, you know, as we share the story, is to describe that mankind is lost in his sin, and that God had a plan to redeem mankind, and Jesus is the person that he's not just God, but he's fully man as well. And we talk about the salvation that Jesus Christ offers us through his death, burial, and resurrection. And it's a spiritual time, but it's also a fun time when we watch the kids open their gifts and that kind of thing. But another thing that Christmas means to me is, because Gayla and I have lived overseas for many years, sharing Christmas and the true meaning of Christmas in lands where maybe they were traditional Buddhist or Taoist or even animist, and in one case, you know, in a Muslim country, sharing about the birth of Christ with these folks, that local nationals that really had no access to the gospel or limited access to the gospel. It was just always a very special time to share our personal faith in Christ and the meaning of Christmas. And so it's a real experience. It's a faith experience, and I have been blessed, as well as my family, for knowing Christ and accepting God's gift of Jesus to us. So it's a blessed time.
Yeah, it's a blessed time. It's a hopeful time. Let me real quick, last question, because we're kind of out of time. But when you have been overseas, you know, like you have, and being a missionary and presenting the gospel, I would imagine it's a little different. You know, their understanding of Christmas, learning about it for the first time, versus, you know, the cultural experience that, you know, whether you're a Christian or not, you have some idea of what this holiday is. So,
right.
You know, is it a neat experience to see somebody really, truly celebrate it without all of the, you know, misconceptions out there that our culture kind of does?
Well, the commercialization, basically. Yes, it is. And you know, people of other lands that have limited access to the gospel, there's a hunger there that I think God puts in all that we want to know the God of the universe. And when people find out that God has a plan for their life, and it's wrapped up in the person of Jesus, who was born in Bethlehem of the Virgin Mary, and he came to save us and really impact our world through Jesus. It's like watching a light bulb switch on. And we've done that, and even in China, with all the, with communism being number one in their culture, there are so many Christians in China today. And when we first went there, we couldn't buy Christmas trees, couldn't buy Christmas lights, but the Chinese are pretty commercial, and they have tapped into that. And so instead of sending all of the things that they make for us in the Western world and European world, they began making it available inside China too. And so more and more, and you know what? They don't have a problem saying Merry Christmas.
Well, you know what? Neither does Donald Trump anymore. And
I know. Isn't it great?
Yeah, it is. It's such a relief. I mean, it really is. But State Representative Brandt Smith, hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate you letting us know what Christmas means to you. And so I just like to say Merry Christmas to you and your family. 7 grandkids.
Well,
That's great.
Thank you. Same to you.
All righty. Okay.
Thank you, Paul. Merry Christmas.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
We've got to go.